And tonight's top story, the debate is on in the Susquehanna Valley about how to clean up the Chesapeake Bay.
Federal lawsuit was filed against Alan and Kristen Hudson by the New York-based Waterkeeper Alliance. These out-of-town activists are intent on driving Maryland poultry farmers like the Hudsons out of business.
The crab population showed significant improvement last year under strict new catch limits, which are also up for discussion this year. Now, this year's meeting is the second between Maryland fishermen and state environmental agencies.
The Chesapeake Bay, the nation's largest estuary, encompasses 6 states in its watershed. Within this vast 64,000 square mile region live 17.5 million people, all vying for the use of its resources. With this diverse array of people all coming from different walks of life, there is bound to be conflict. When focusing on a few main players in the bay, farmers, watermen, and environmentalists, how much conflict really exists? Are these groups as dichotomous as they're made out to be?
My name is James Eskridge. I'm the mayor of Tangier Island, but before I'm mayor, I'm a commercial waterman. It would be hard to imagine the Chesapeake Bay with no commercial watermen on it.
My name is Kate Livy. I'm the Director of Education at the Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum in St. Michaels, Maryland. And I'm also a native Chestertonian and a Kent County resident. I was born and raised on the eastern shore of Maryland. I think that watermen are central to our culture as Chesapeake people.
I'm Olin Davis. I'm not really aware that they, as far as polluting the bay, have any effects that way. It's possible that the bay could be overfished. That's really my only thought on it.
Hi, I'm Amanda Fry. I'm one of the senior educators here at Echo Hill Outdoor School. I work with watermen. All the boat captains here have had some sort of waterman's life sometime in their lives. And living and working with those men and women, I can't have but respect for them.
Hi, my name is Judy Gifford, and I'm the owner-operator of St. Bridget's Farm in Kennedyville, Maryland. I know that the Watermen's Association, like some watermen and some farmers, are stridently against any regulation and are fiercely independent, thinking they know what's best. And I don't think that helps the dialogue any. I think that if there's a problem and we need to solve it, then they should be open to trying some practices that might improve their livelihood in the long run.
The land is our livelihood. We draw our living from it. It's our legacy as well. I mean, we are the 6th generation on these farms.
As a waterman, I really don't know what effect the farming plays on the bay. I hear a lot of things. I read some things, and I try to talk with some of the farmers and get their perspective, because the same thing can be said about the watermen.
I'm Alan Davis. I farm here at Rich Levels Grain. We raise broilers for Allen's Heron. Environmental activists have acknowledged, the Chesapeake Bay Foundation for one, that agriculture is the bay's best friend here in Maryland.
I don't want to be too hard on the farmers because they're sort of in the same boat that we are. They're very dependent on the weather and the market.
My name is Isabel Junkin, and I'm the policy specialist for the Chester River Association. Farmers really look at our organization as good people to work with.
Any farmer that doesn't realize that their future well-being on the land isn't drawn from the health of that soil, is kidding themselves.
I'm really feeling like farmers, especially what I see every day in Kent County, I'm proud of them, because they're stepping out of, I'm a farmer, I do what I do it on my family's land, and I do how I want it, and they're thinking of the world around them. And I feel really proud of those farmers that are taking that worldly view now.
In 2010, the Hudson family was sued by the Waterkeeper Alliance, based in New York. Executive Director of the Assateague Coastal Trust, a member of the Waterkeeper Alliance, filed the suit against the family due to what was thought to be a violation of the Clean Water Act. The Coastal Trust has since removed themselves from the case, but the Waterkeeper Alliance has pursued with the lawsuit, causing tension between farmers and environmentalists in the watershed.
It's cost this young farm family over $400,000 in legal fees, and we're insult to injury here in the state of Maryland. It's Maryland taxpayer dollars, it's my dollars, it's Oliv's dollars that are helping to support the legal fees of the water keepers and the river keepers. That's wrong. It's just wrong. Governor O'Malley's even spoken that it's wrong. Hopefully this won't happen again.
The Hudson lawsuit really set back a lot of the feeling of cooperation and working together. So I think that will have a huge impact on what happens going forward, which is unfortunate.
It's just a disgrace the way the water keepers and the river keepers have chosen to attack production agriculture.
I'm on the board of the Chester River Association, and that was one of the issues that I think they kind of stayed away from, thinking that there was more to the story than they had heard. And they turned out to be right. I mean, I think, immediately people started pointing fingers about what it was, how it was contained. It also is one of those things that shows you that there are deep corporate interests in the Chesapeake, just in terms of the defense of the case. Purdue has a major stake in the Eastern Shore, and poultry farming is a huge part, especially on the lower Eastern Shore, of how people make their daily bread.
The Chester River Association, the association I work for, is a part of, we have a river keeper, so we are a part of the Waterkeepers Alliance, and the Waterkeepers Alliance is the main litigant in the Hudson case. And there is one particular local riverkeeper group who is involved in the Hudson case. While I do believe that there was a lot of frustration, that there is a lot of frustration in the southern part of Delmarva between watershed organizations and farmers, I don't think that the case was handled appropriately. I think that there were better ways to go around it, to go about it, and I think that trying to work with our farmers is really the most important.
The Chester River Association was not the only group who avoided the case. The Maryland Department of the Environment, Governor O'Malley, and many other waterkeeper organizations agreed that the lawsuit was unnecessary and only led to animosity between groups. Many believe that cooperation is the only way that Bay issues can truly be resolved.
Cooperation is absolutely essential, but cooperation is so difficult.
Got the Chester River Association that's sort of bridging the gap between farmers and environmentalists.
From our organization's standpoint, we really work hard to work with our farmers as opposed to against them.
Everybody's got to work together to survive in this.
We hope to do anything in terms of improving the Chesapeake Bay. We have to work together, but it's such a challenge. But I just think the issue's gotten more complex. As 50 years ago, you didn't have the Bay Foundation. You didn't have environmentalist groups. It seemed simpler because you had less people expressing their opinions about it. I think the lip service in terms of cooperation has probably increased because everybody wants to say that they support the Bay. Every politician, regardless of their political affiliation, will tell you that they are for the Bay. But then you look at their actions and you question that, and that's a problem. People will coordinate on a surface level, but in terms of actually making change, it's hard to make tough decisions that impact people negatively in some way or another. And that's really the challenge to cooperative movement in the Chesapeake, is that somebody's going to have to give up their commute, or someone's going to have to give up their boat or their harvest or their home that's beautiful and right on the water but has a polluting septic tank. People end up giving up something for the greater good.
All the grain farmers contribute to a checkoff program where 1/2 of the price of any bushel of corn, wheat, barley, soybeans goes to a checkoff fund where we can, through a committee, we will allot grant money to serve different purposes to improve agriculture in Maryland. One project that we have granted money for actually helps to restore oyster beds in the bay.
You take the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, for example. They're pushing for a clean bay and protecting the resource, but at the same time they're also working with the watermen so that we continue to have a job and are able to make a living on the water. We work with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation and VIMS, the Virginia Institute of Marine Science, Department of Natural Resources in Maryland. Of course, and the two states, Maryland and Virginia, are working together now more than they used to. And because the crabs do migrate back and forth to the upper part of the bay and back down to the lower bay, so it's important that they are talking with each other.
It's not just states agreeing to work together, it's individuals, it's organizations, it's counties, it's watermen and it's environmentalists, it's farmers and it's environmentalists, it's farmers in the state, it's watermen in the state. It's hard because, like I said earlier, it's such a nuanced problem. There's no one solution. It'd be so much easier to say, man, the bay is not looking so good, we can fix it doing this one thing. But because it does demand cooperation.
I've been with the Chester River Association for a year, and one of our main cornerstone programs is working with our farmers.
In communities like Kent County and this area, I've really seen how the community education and involvement of the watermen and the farmers with the health of the bay and taking that into a community role, it's wonderful. I've just really seen how such a small community can really take charge for the responsibility of the bay.
Because of the relationships that I've developed, I'm able to find those points where we can cooperate. And by we, I mean our watershed conservation-based organization, how we can cooperate and work with the county elected officials and county staff and try and find what's best for the county.
Cooperation in the Chesapeake Bay region will never be easy, but that does not mean that it is impossible. There is an unignorable level of support for cooperative efforts. If these disparate groups can continue trying to understand each other and find common ground, then we will finally be able to make significant headway in our quest for a sustainable future.
Sometimes I feel like I'm the character the Lorax from Dr. Seuss, and I feel like I speak for the crabs, I speak for the oysters. I'm not that radical though. And I just feel it's my home. So I like a clean house. I like a house that people want to come to. So since the bay is my bigger home, I want to keep it clean. I want it to look nice so that people will come here. And even though I can't do it by myself, I want to show people why they would want it to look nice so that they'll come back and so that our grandkids can come back.
Everyone's got a voice, right? But those voices are often in opposition to each other or overlapping. So, we're not unified. I know that the Chesapeake of my future will not be the Chesapeake of my past, but I can't help but think that it's such a special place that it needs to be preserved. It doesn't mean that it never needs to change.